Hello there, YouTubers. Robert Llewellyn here, making do. I don't know what the actual number of the update is, but it's halfway through the year. It's 6 months since I started making do, and it's been quite an interesting week, really. I met an old friend last week who was very critical and hugely unimpressed with what I was doing. And it was quite interesting. I hadn't seen him this year, first time I'd seen him this year. And he said that one of the first things he asked me is, do you have any new furniture in your house? Which he knows, he knew the answer, but anyway, he asked it. Do you have any new furniture in your house? And I said, yeah. I haven't bought any this year, but yes, there is furniture that was bought new. And he then pointed out that he has nothing in his house that's new. Everything he's ever bought is second-hand, so all their furniture is second-hand. Everything they buy is second-hand. So he's really into that whole not, using stuff that's already here, not wasting it, which makes a lot of sense. And all his clothes are second-hand. I think probably, socks, shoes, pants, possibly new. But I mean, he earns hugely less than I do. And this is one of the things he pointed out, was it's not a difficult proposition for a man in my position to give up stuff for a year. It's not that big a sacrifice. And he's absolutely right. I am very lucky. The last, I guess, 20 years or so, it is about 20 years, I've kind of earned over the average of people in this country, I would think, slightly more. Just doing a slight camera adjustment there, otherwise my head's falling off the bottom. Slightly more than the average person. So, and it's varied. But I mean, I'd like to point out that certainly the 15 years prior to that, at least. So since when I left home till I can't do the maths, but for a long lump of time before I started earning a bit more money because of working on television, I really lived on a pittance, and I chose to do it. I didn't want to do the jobs that might pay me more, but would take up my time and mean that I felt compromised. So I was brutal with myself, and I really did live on. I can't believe how much I lived. There was a year in the early 90s where I suddenly doubled my life income. If you think what that means, I earned quite a lot in this year because of various television jobs. And when I did the maths, I worked out that I'd earned more in that year than I had in my previous entire life. And I hadn't earned that much in that year. I mean, it wasn't like I suddenly earned 7 million quid. Nothing like that. Very, very little. But I didn't have to earn that much in order to double my lifetime's income, because up to that point, I lived on, I was living on like £2,000 or £3,000 a year, which I know you couldn't do now, but you could do it then, but you really had to make do. So I'm really used to it in that sense. So I tried to justify it like that by saying I grew up making do, not impressed, because I have 2 homes, 3 cars, and 9 computers. I say 3 cars, I've got a completely trashed old van, a slightly knackered Land Rover, and a fairly dented but quite new Toyota Prius hybrid. So I have 2 homes, 3 cars, and when I started making do, I decided to make do on a beach in Australia where we'd gone for Christmas. You can't do that on £3 a year. So I had to although it was it was done as a joke and he was teasing, he wasn't being nasty, did make me sort of stop and think, But I can't now turn back. I apologise for my voice because something's happened to it, and one of the reasons I haven't done any YouTubes recently, I kind of blew it out. I think it's partly due to filming in sub-zero conditions, a lot of zeros, when we were filming in a snow dome for Scrap Heap recently, and everyone's got the throat and the chesty thing. I'm fighting fit. I'm not ill. I will not be ill until we finish filming Scrap Heap. I definitely am looking forward to going shopping in January next year, but really for socks and pants would be so nice, and possibly a new pair of shoes. But that's all. And I mean, I quite like to buy nothing, And I think one of the things I talked to him about was that, if I was to give up all forms of consuming and absolutely live on the minimum, would he be impressed? And he said no, because he knew that, if the crunch came, we'd have money in the bank to sort it out. And that is very true, and we're very lucky that we have that we're in that position. Because earlier on this year, I remember moaning on YouTube, which is really wrong, about, you know, being a bit broke, and we really were. I think when you earn more money, it means you can have a bigger debt, and our debt is just a beauty. But then I keep meeting people. I mean, this is the thing. This is what I wanted to talk about, is the debt thing. The debt thing is fascinating. Our financial advisor said, you're falling off a cliff. You have you know, £100,000 in the bank. How do you feel? Like scared that you're going to die, and really angry that you hadn't bought something with that money. That was the theory. Or you're falling off the cliff and you owe £7.5 million to the bank. How do you feel? Well, quite relieved. I mean, hopefully you're falling off the cliff when you're 97 as opposed to next week. And that was the kind of theory about it. You know, there's a financial advisor trying to talk me into getting a bigger mortgage, because, you know, we don't have like some people have, where they're mortgaged to such a huge extent that, you know, they effectively don't own the houses they live in. And I'm very lucky to have, in an obsessive, and I now realise lower middle class way, paid off my mortgages. I don't like owing people money. It doesn't make me feel good. When I get a bill through the post from someone, I pay it straight away. And yet I know that other people, particularly people of a slightly different class, upper middle class, will leave that bill to the very, 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 very last second when they get the last final red reminder, then they pay it. And I hate that. I hate owing money. It doesn't make me feel good. And having a huge mortgage I feel like a real burden. I don't want it, and I want to pay it off as soon as I can, which of course banks don't want you to do, because they want you to owe them the money, because then you give them more money. I would love to be in a position where I didn't owe anybody a penny. It would be very nice, but that is, I've been told by everyone, incredibly stupid. So we may as well just go and borrow a load more money and be done with it. But I think a year without debt is quite a good challenge. You know, that you pay off all your debts and you don't run any up, which means you can't borrow any money. You can't use credit cards, because that's borrowing money, even if it's only for a month. So anyway, 6 months of making do. I've had a bit of jip from my mates, but other than that, it's not bad. And hopefully next time I talk to you, I'll have something that resembles a human voice, although it is quite deep at the moment. Yes, but I can go deep. I can't go high. There's no high bit. Will you go like that? Oh, and it hurts. I'll see you soon.